The silk of my evening gown feels like a second skin, cold and shimmering under the vanity lights. I stare at my reflection, tracing the fine lines around my eyes, lines I used to think were from laughter, but now I suspect are from a decade of holding my breath. Today is the 10th anniversary of Sterling Foundations, the charity my husband, Julian, and I built from the dirt up. Tonight is supposed to be our crowning achievement, the gala that cements our legacy in this city's high society. I pick up the diamond necklace Julian gave me this morning. It's heavy, expensive, and feels like a gilded leash. He'd kissed my forehead, his breath smelling of expensive espresso and a hint of a perfume I didn't recognize, and told me he'd see me at the venue. He had last-minute logistics to handle. He always does. I'm the face, the heart, the one who writes the speeches and remembers the donors' children's names. He's the powerhouse, the man who closes the deals. Our house is silent, a sprawling minimalist mansion that feels more like a museum than a home. I remember when we lived in a one-bedroom apartment with a radiator that hissed like a snake. We were happy then. Or maybe I just didn't have enough money to see the cracks in the foundation. Now, I have everything a woman is supposed to want, yet I feel like a ghost haunting my own life. I check my phone. No text from him. The limousine is waiting outside, its headlights cutting through the evening mist like predatory eyes. I grab my clutch, making sure my invitation and my notes are inside. I've rehearsed this speech 100 times. It's a tribute to partnership and perseverance. Irony is a bitter pill to swallow when you're dressed in couture. As I walk down the grand staircase, my heels clicking against the marble, I stop at the portrait in the foyer. It's Julian and me 3 years ago. He's looking at the camera with that practiced, predatory charm. I'm looking at him, my eyes full of a devotion that now makes my stomach churn. I trusted him with my life, my finances, and my soul. I never imagined that trust was a weapon he would eventually use against me. The drive to the grand ballroom is a blur of city lights and rising anxiety. My stomach is in knots, a physical manifestation of a gut feeling I've been suppressing for months. The missed calls, the late-night meetings, the sudden change in his phone passcode. It's a cliché I refuse to acknowledge. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself a man doesn't build an empire just to burn it down. When I arrive, the red carpet is already swarming with photographers. The flashes are blinding, a rhythmic pulsing that feels like a headache taking shape. I smile. I wave. I perform the role of the supportive wife perfectly. It's a role I've played for so long I've forgotten where the character ends, and I begin. But tonight, the air feels different. There's a whisper in the crowd, a vibration of gossip that stops the moment I pass by. I reach the heavy oak doors of the ballroom. I can hear the muffled roar of the crowd inside, the clinking of crystal, and the swell of a string quartet. This is it, the moment we've worked for. I take a deep breath, smoothing the front of my dress. I expect to see Julian waiting for me at the entrance, hand outstretched, ready to lead me into the light. But the foyer is empty. The usher looks at me, his expression a strange mix of pity and panic. He hesitates, his hand hovering over the door handle. "Mrs. Sterling," he stammers. I didn't think you were coming until the keynote." My heart skips a beat. I was always scheduled to be here for the opening toast. Why would he think otherwise? I don't wait for him to open the door. I push through myself. The light from the chandeliers hits me first. Thousands of crystal droplets reflecting a scene I wasn't prepared to see. The room is packed, hundreds of the city's elite standing in a semicircle around the central stage. And there, under the spotlight, stands my husband. He isn't alone. He is holding the hand of a woman I recognize instantly. Elena, my younger, ambitious marketing assistant, the one I mentored, The one I invited into our home for Christmas dinner because she was alone in the city. She is wearing a dress that costs more than her annual salary, a shimmering gold piece that screams for attention. And the crowd, they aren't gasping. They are cheering. The sound of their applause is like a physical blow to my chest. It's a rhythmic, thumping sound that drowns out the blood rushing in my ears. Julian is leaning in, whispering something into Elena's ear that makes her throw her head back and laugh. It's a private moment, staged for a public audience. He looks at her with a heat he hasn't shown me in 5 years. I feel invisible. I am standing 10 feet away, bathed in the same light, yet the entire room seems to have collectively decided I don't exist. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a secret they got caught in. This was a debut. He is introducing her as his partner, not just in business, but in life. The power couple of the year has been recast, and I've been edited out of the script. I see our best friends, the Millers, standing in the front row. They aren't looking away in shame. They are smiling. They are raising their glasses to the new girl. The betrayal isn't just Julian's. It's an entire social circle's. They all knew. They've probably known for months, watching me play the fool while they whispered behind my back at country club lunches. My legs feel like lead, but I can't move. I'm paralyzed by the sheer audacity of it. Julian catches my eye across the room. For a split second, I see a flicker of something. Guilt? No, it's annoyance. He's annoyed that I'm here early. He's annoyed that I'm ruining his perfect reveal. He turns back to Elena, squeezing her hand tighter, and the crowd roars again as he raises her hand like a trophy. I feel a coldness spreading from my core, a numbing frost that replaces the initial shock. This is the man I supported when he had nothing. This is the man I stayed up with until 3 a.m., editing his proposals and calming his nerves. I gave him my youth, my intellect, and my heart, and he is currently offering them up as a sacrifice to a woman who hasn't even learned how to manage a budget yet. I back away, retreating into the shadows of the heavy velvet curtains. No one notices. Why would they? The spectacle is too bright, too scandalous, too exciting. I find a side exit and stumble out into the service hallway. The smell of industrial cleaner and garbage hits me, a sharp contrast to the expensive perfume and lilies in the ballroom. I collapse against the cold tile wall, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I want to scream, to go back in there and tear that gold dress off her back. I want to slap the smug look off Julian's face. But I can't. My dignity is the only thing I have left, and it feels like it's hanging by a single, frayed thread. I thought I knew him. I thought we were a team. That was the moment everything changed. The woman who walked into that gala is dead. She was a victim of her own loyalty, a casualty of a war she didn't even know she was fighting. As I sit there on the floor, the muffled sounds of the gala still ringing in my ears, the grief starts to harden. It turns from a liquid, weeping thing into something solid, something sharp. I think of the accounts. I think of the legal documents I've signed over the years without reading, trusting his word. I think of the house, the charity, the reputation. He thinks he's won. He thinks he can just swap me out for a newer model and keep the engine I built. He thinks I'm the kind of woman who will go quietly into the night with a modest settlement and a broken heart. He's wrong. He's forgotten who actually runs the logistics. He's forgotten who keeps the ledgers, and who knows where every single body is buried in this charitable foundation. I reach into my clutch and pull out my phone. My hands are no longer shaking. I scroll through my contacts until I find a name I haven't called in years. A man who specializes in the kind of divorces that leave one party in a penthouse and the other in a prison cell. "It's me," I say when he picks up. My voice is steady, a low vibration that surprises even me. "I need you to start the process. Everything. I want the forensic auditors in by Monday. and I want a private investigator at the Grand Ballroom tonight. I have a feeling the evidence is currently dancing on the main stage. I stand up, smoothing my hair and checking my makeup in the reflection of a fire extinguisher cabinet. I don't look like a woman who just had her world destroyed. I look like a predator. I realized then that Julian didn't just break my heart. He broke the lock on the cage I've been living in. He thinks he's the king of this gala, but he's forgotten that I'm the one who designed the palace. I walk out of the service entrance and into the cool night air. The city looks different now, less like a playground and more like a map of targets. I don't go home. I can't go back to that museum of lies. I check into a hotel under my maiden name, a name I haven't used in a decade. It feels light. It feels like a beginning. That night, I don't sleep. I spend hours scrolling through the gala's social media tag. It's all there. Photos of them laughing. Videos of him giving a speech about new horizons. The comments are full of heart emojis and congratulations. They think I've been discarded. They think I'm yesterday's news. Let them think that. Silence is the most dangerous weapon in a war of optics. The next morning, the PI sends the first batch of photos. It wasn't just a gala appearance. They went back to a penthouse I didn't even know Julian owned. A penthouse bought with funds from the Sterling Foundation administrative account. My blood boils, but I channel the heat into focus. This isn't just an affair. It's embezzlement. It's fraud. It's the end of his empire. I spend the next 3 days in a war room of my own making. My lawyer, Marcus, is a shark in a 3-piece suit. He looks at the documents I've gathered and whistles. He was sloppy, Claire. He thought you were too blinded by love to look at the line items. I nod. I was. But the scales haven't just fallen from my eyes. They've been ripped off. And now I see everything in high definition. I find more than just the penthouse. I find offshore accounts, donations to shell companies owned by Elena's brothers, and a trail of breadcrumbs that leads straight to the foundation's collapse. He's been draining the charity to fund his midlife crisis. He's been stealing from the sick and the needy to buy gold dresses and high-rise views. It's more than betrayal. It's a moral vacuum. Every time I feel like crumbling, I look at that photo of them at the gala. I look at the way he's looking at her, and the way the crowd cheered for my replacement. It fuels me. I don't want a settlement. I don't want an apology. I want him to watch as everything he sacrificed me for turns to ash in his hands. I want the world to see the man behind the tuxedo. I start making my own calls. To the donors who actually care about the cause. To the board members who have been sidelined by Julian's ego. I don't tell them about the affair. Not yet. I tell them about the discrepancies. I tell them about the audit I'm conducting as the co-chair. I build my army in the shadows, one phone call at a time. Julian finally calls on the 4th day. He sounds irritated, his voice booming through the speaker. Claire, where the hell are you? The house is empty, and the maid says you haven't been back. We have the symphony benefit tonight. You need to be home by 5. He says it like he's ordering a pizza. No apology for the gala. No explanation for the woman on his arm. I'm not coming, Julian, I say calmly. There's a long silence on the other end. I can almost hear his brain trying to process a reality where I don't obey. Don't be dramatic. He huffs. The gala was a misunderstanding. Elena is a vital part of the new branding. People liked her. It was a strategic move. Now get home. We'll talk about your feelings after the benefit. I'm not being dramatic, I reply, my voice dropping an octave. I'm being strategic, just like you. I hang up before he can respond. It's the first time in years I've had the last word, and it tastes better than any champagne I've ever had. I spend the next week watching him unravel from a distance. He tries to freeze our joint accounts, but Marcus was faster. I've already moved my half, and the contingency fund Julian forgot I knew about. into a private trust. He sends me angry texts, then pleading ones, then threats. He realizes that the quiet wife has the keys to the kingdom. But the masterstroke is yet to come. The annual Founders Award is scheduled for this weekend. It's the biggest event of the year, televised locally with the governor in attendance. Julian thinks he's receiving the award for visionary leadership. He's been practicing his speech in front of the mirror, I'm sure. He thinks the gala was just a minor hiccup and that the world has already moved on. He thinks I won't show up. He thinks I'm hiding in a hotel room, crying into my pillow. He's even leaked a story to the press that I'm taking a personal sabbatical for my health. He's setting the stage for my permanent exit, painting me as the fragile, unstable wife who couldn't handle the pressure of their success. It's a classic move. It's also his biggest mistake. I spend the day of the awards ceremony with a team of professionals, not just hair and makeup, but a tech team and a publicist. We aren't preparing for a party. We're preparing for a siege. I choose a dress that is the polar opposite of the gold one Elena wore. It's deep matte black. It looks like mourning, but it feels like armor. As I drive to the venue, I feel a strange sense of peace. The fear is gone. When you've already seen your worst nightmare play out in front of a cheering crowd, there's nothing left to be afraid of. I am the ghost they think they've laid to rest, and I'm about to haunt the hell out of this ballroom. I arrive late, purposely skipping the red carpet. I enter through the back, using my still active security clearance. The ceremony is already underway. I can hear Julian's voice over the speakers, smooth and confident. He's talking about integrity and the future of our community. The gall of the man is almost impressive. I wait in the wings, watching him on the monitor. Elena is in the front row, looking like a queen in waiting. She's wearing a tiara, a literal tiara. She's so blinded by her own sudden ascent that she doesn't see the cliff she's standing on. The audience is rapt, hanging on Julian's every word. He's a master performer, a man who could sell a drowning man a glass of water. And now, the announcer says to present the Founders Award for Visionary Leadership. We have a special surprise. Although she has been away for her health, we are honored to have the co-founder herself join us. Please welcome Claire Sterling. The room goes silent. Julian freezes, his hand halfway to the podium. Elena's smile drops so fast, it's almost comical. They weren't expecting this. The board wasn't expecting this. I walk out onto the stage, the black silk of my dress whispering against the floor. The spotlight finds me, and for once I don't squint. I look directly into the lens of the main camera. I don't go to Julian. I go to the podium. He tries to step in front of it, his eyes wide with a frantic, silent warning. Don't do this, his expression says. I'll give you anything. I ignore him. I lean into the microphone, my smile as sharp as a razor blade. Thank you, I say, my voice echoing through the massive hall. Julian is right. Tonight is about the future. It's about seeing things as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. We've spent years building a foundation based on trust, but trust, like any building, can be hollowed out from the inside by rot. The murmur in the crowd starts low and builds. I see Julian's face go from pale to a deep, angry purple. He reaches for my arm, but I pull back, my movement graceful and deliberate. I have a tribute to show you, I continue. A tribute to the new horizons Julian mentioned at our last gala. Let's look at the screen. The tech team I hired overrides the house system. The giant screen behind us, which was supposed to show a montage of Julian's charity work, flickers. Instead, it displays the bank statements, the transfers to Elena's shell companies, the photos of the penthouse, the PI's footage of them together when Julian was supposedly at a homeless shelter fundraiser. The gasps are audible this time. It's not a murmur. It's a roar of shock. I turn to look at Julian. He looks small. For the first time in my life, he looks pathetic. He tries to speak, but no sound comes out. He looks at the board members in the front row, but they are already turning away, their faces masks of disgust. They can forgive an affair, but they won't forgive a man who makes them look like accomplices to fraud. I look down at Elena. She's trying to hide her face, the tiara slipping from her head. She thought she was being elevated to the elite. She didn't realize she was just a prop in a much larger play. I feel a flicker of pity for her, but it's quickly extinguished by the memory of her laughing in my house while she planned to take my life. This award isn't for Julian, I say into the silence. This award is for the truth. I am resigning as co-chair, effective immediately. I have already turned over all evidence of financial mismanagement to the district attorney's office. I believe they are waiting in the lobby. The timing is perfect. 2 men in suits enter from the back of the hall. The crowd parts like the Red Sea. Julian looks like he's about to faint. He looks at me, and for the first time, he really sees me. He doesn't see the quiet wife or the supportive partner. He sees the woman who just dismantled his entire existence with a few clicks of a mouse and a well-timed speech. I walk off the stage before they reach him. I don't want to see the handcuffs. I don't need to. The sound of the crowd's judgment is enough. As I pass the front row, I see our friends who cheered for Elena at the gala. They are looking at their shoes. They are irrelevant now. Their approval was a currency that has just been devalued to 0. I walk out the front doors of the hall. The air is cold and crisp, smelling of rain and freedom. My phone is blowing up with notifications, but I don't look at them. I walk to the edge of the fountain and take off the diamond necklace Julian gave me. I look at it for a moment, the sparkle, the weight, the lie. Then I drop it into the water. It sinks without a sound. The divorce was long and ugly, but I didn't care. I had the truth, and I had the money he couldn't hide. He lost the foundation, the house, and his freedom. Elena vanished the moment the bank accounts were frozen. Turns out, true love has a very specific price tag. I moved to a small house by the coast, a place with a garden and a view of the horizon that doesn't end at a skyscraper. I sit on my porch now, watching the sun dip below the waves. My life is quieter, humbler, and infinitely more honest. I don't wear silk gowns anymore, and I don't give speeches to people who don't care. I am no longer the woman who was ruined by a betrayal. I am the woman who used the wreckage to build something real. Sometimes I think about that gala and the sound of the crowd cheering for a lie. It used to make me cry. Now it just makes me smile. Because if they hadn't cheered for her, I might still be there, holding my breath and waiting for a man who never loved me to notice I was standing right next to him. Sometimes losing your family is the price of finding yourself.